are at stage 2, paragraph page 78. Okay,
Yeah.
and our last headword was child, newer type of lesson. Okay,
We just finished.
let's start with
No,
revision.
no more give him. Okay. No. I. It's a. It's. Is it a give for? Okay. 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 Sorry.
Okay, let's start our revision. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. First question. Is there anybody speaking to you? Is there anybody speaking to you? Yes,
Is
there's
there any?
somebody speaking to
Yes.
me.
Yes. There is
There's
any. There is somebody
somebody.
speaking.
Very good.
Speaking to.
Speaking to me. Is there anybody sitting there on that chair? Is there anybody sitting there on that chair? Yes,
Yes.
there's
There
somebody
somebody
sitting
sitting
there on
on
that
the chair.
chair. Very good. Okay, is there anybody sitting on the floor? Is there anybody sitting on the floor? No,
No.
there isn't
There
anybody
isn't
sitting
anybody
on the
sitting
floor.
on the floor.
Is there anybody in this room wearing a hat? Is there anybody in this room wearing a hat? No,
No.
there isn't
There
anybody
anybody
in that room
wearing hat
wearing a hat.
in the room. Well, in the room wearing the hat.
Is there anybody in the corridor? Is there anybody in the corridor? No, there isn't
No.
anybody
There is.
in the
There isn't
corridor.
any in the corridor.
Very good. Okay, who's speaking English in this room? Who's speaking English in this room? We're speaking
We are
English in this room.
English room.
Who's speaking French in this room? Who's speaking French in this room? Nobody's
Nobody
speaking
is
French in this room.
wearing in the room.
Who's wearing clothes in this room? Who's wearing clothes in this room? We're wearing
We are
clothes in this
wearing
room.
clothes in the room.
Who's wearing a hat in this room? Who's wearing a hat in this room? Nobody's wearing a hat in this
In
room.
this room.
Who's giving you an English lesson? Who's giving you an English lesson? You're giving me
You are
an
you
English
are
lesson.
English lesson.
Who's in the corridor? Who's in the corridor? Nobody's in the
Nobody is
corridor.
corridor in
Ve-
this room.
Very good. Okay. For example, this is me. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're walking.
You are working
Where am I
in
walking to? Where am I walking to? You're walking to the window.
walking with the window.
Very good. Do you like walking? Do you like walking? Yes or no?
I like walking.
Does she like walking? Does she like walking? Yes or no?
No, she doesn't like walking.
Very good. Is this Mr. Brown's dress? Is this Mr. Brown's dress? No, it
No,
isn't
it
Mr. Brown's dress. It's Mrs. Brown's
is a
dress.
brown dress.
Is this Jack Brown's shirt? Is this Jack Brown's shirt? Yes, it's
Yes,
Jack
this
Brown's shirt.
dark brown shirt.
Is this Mr. Brown's arm? Is this Mr. Brown's arm? No, it isn't
No,
Mr.
it isn't.
Brown's arm. It's Mrs.
It's
Brown's
the
arm.
brown arm.
Is this Mr. Smith's ear? Is this Mr. Smith's ear? No,
Yeah.
it isn't
No, no, it isn't.
Mr.
Mrs. Smith's
Mr.
ear.
Smith's ear.
It's Smith's ear.
It's Mr. Brown's ear. Very good. Okay, next. What's my right hand doing? What's my right hand doing? Your right
Your
hand's
right
moving
is
up and down.
up.
Very good. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're standing up.
You are standing up.
What am I doing? What am I doing? You're sitting down.
You're sitting down.
Very good. Do you sit down after the lesson? Do you sit down after the lesson? No, I
No,
don't sit
I
down
sit
after the
down.
lesson. I stand up
I stand
after the lesson.
the person.
Very good. What's the negative of can? What's the negative of can? The negative of can
The negative
is cannot.
cannot.
What's the contraction of cannot? What's the contraction of cannot? The
The
contraction of cannot
cannot
is
is
can't.
can't.
Can you speak Chinese? Can you speak Chinese? Yes or no?
Yeah, no, I can't speak Chinese.
Very good. Can you put the table into your pocket? Can you put the table into your pocket? No, I can't put the
I
table
can't
into my pocket.
I can't put the table into my pocket.
Very good. Can you touch the ceiling? Can you touch the ceiling? No,
No,
I
I
can't touch the
can't.
ceiling. Very good. How much is a quarter of 40? How much is a quarter of 40? 10 is a quarter of 40.
Exactly.
How much is a quarter of 1,000? How much is a quarter of 1,000?
Two.
250 is a
That.
quarter of 1,000.
That's 1,000.
Very good. What's a quarter of 10? What's a quarter of 10? Two and a half is a
Half.
quarter of 10. What's a
10.
quarter of 5? What's a quarter of 5? One and a
One
quarter
in
is a
quarter
quarter
is
of
that
5.
5.
Very good. Are you teaching me English? Are you teaching me English? No,
No,
I'm not teaching you English. I'm
I'm teaching
learning
you English.
English from
I'm
you.
running from you.
Do you learn Spanish? Do you learn Spanish? No, I
No,
don't
I don't.
learn Spanish. I learn English.
I learn.
Do you like learning a language? Do you like learning a language? Yes, I
Yeah,
like
I like
learning a language. Does she like learning a language? Does she like learning a language? Yes, she
yeah,
likes learning a language.
wrong.
Very good. Is English grammar difficult? Is English grammar difficult? No. English
No,
grammar
it's
isn't
English
difficult.
grammar is
It's easy.
difficult. It's easy.
Is Chinese an easy language to learn? Is Chinese an easy language to learn? No. Chinese
No,
isn't
Chinese
an easy
isn't
language to learn.
easy to
It's
easy
a
language to.
difficult language to learn.
It's difficult language to run.
Very good. Is it difficult for you to speak your language? Is it difficult for you to speak your language? No, it isn't
It,
difficult for me
isn't too difficult
to speak
for
my
me to
language.
my
It's
language.
easy. It's easy. Very good.
It's easy.
Is it generally easy for people to write with their left hand? Is it generally easy for people to write with their left hand? No, it isn't
No,
generally
it
easy
isn't
for people
right
to write
for
with
people
their left hand.
right
With their left
to
hand.
right
It's
hand.
difficult.
It's difficult.
Very good. Okay, what's my pen doing? What's my pen doing? Your pen's hanging between your
Is
finger and your thumb. Your
your
what?
pen
Your pen is hanging
your pen is hanging with your
between your
fingers
and your thumb.
between your thumb.
Between one more. Between your finger and your thumb.
Between your finger
And
thumb
your thumb.
and your thumb.
Very good. Is there a light hanging from the ceiling? Is there a light hanging from the ceiling? Yes or no?
Ye-
There's a light
yes, there's
hanging from the
light
ceiling.
hanging from the ceiling.
Is there a map hanging on that wall? Is there a map hanging on that wall? Yes,
No,
there's a map. Yes,
yes, there's
there's a
map
map
hanging.
on
There's
that
map
wall.
hanging from
Very good. Okay, next. Do you go home after the lesson by car, by bus, by train, or do you walk home? Do you go home after the lesson by car, by bus, by train, or do you walk home? I walk
I
home after the lesson.
walk
I
to the
don't
restaurant.
go by car, by bus, or by train,
Go by train, by bus,
or by car. Very
or
good.
by car.
Which do you prefer, to walk or to go by car? Which do you prefer, to walk or to go by car? I prefer to
To walk
than to go
to
by car.
car.
Very good. Do you come to the school by train or by bus? Do you come to school by train or by bus? I come to school
I
by.
I go by train.
Very good. Does she come to school by train or by bus? Does she come to school by train or by bus? She comes to
She
school
comes
by.
to school by bus.
Very good. Are you married? Are you married? Yes or no?
Yes, I'm married.
Is Mr. Brown single? Is Mr. Brown single? No. Mr. Brown
He
isn't single.
isn't single.
He's married.
She's married.
Is Miss Brown married? Is Miss Brown married? No. Miss Brown
Mr.
isn't
Brown
married. She's single.
is single.
Very good. Has Mr. Brown got a wife? Has Mr. Brown got a wife? Yes. Mr.
Yes,
Brown's got a wife.
he got a wife.
Has Mrs. Brown got a husband? Has Mrs. Brown got a husband? Yes. Mrs. Brown's got a husband.
Oh,
Very good. Is Mrs. Brown's husband standing behind the house? Is Mrs. Brown's husband standing behind the house? No.
yeah,
Mrs.
no.
Brown's husband.
Miss Brown's
Husband
isn't husband
isn't standing behind the
isn't
house.
behind the
He's
house.
standing
She's
in front of the house.
house.
Very good. Okay, next. What's your mother's name? What's your mother's name? My mother's name
Her
is.
mother's name is Loco.
What's your father's name? What's your father's name? My father's
My
name
father
is.
is Zaki.
Very good. What's your mother's husband's name? What's your mother's husband's name? My mother's
My
husband's name.
husband is Mizaki.
What's your father's wife's name? What's your father's wife's name? My father's
My father's
wife's name
name,
is.
wife name is Hiloko.
Very good. What's the plural of child? What's the plural of child? The plural of child is
Plural
children.
of child is children.
How many children have your mother and father got? How many children have your mother and father got? My mother and
My
father
and
have got.
got three children.
Very. Are you an only child? Are you an only child? Yes or no?
No, I'm not only a child.
Mama? No, I'm not an only child.
I'm not only a child.
I'm not an only child.
I'm not an only
Only
a child.
child.
No, only child.
Very good. Okay, and that's the end of our revision. Let's have new word. Very good. Okay, repeat. Call.
Call
Mom.
mom,
Dad.
dad.
Very good. Okay, listen. We call this a mouth. We call this a pen. People generally call their mother and father mom and dad. Okay,
Mm.
let's practice. What do we call this? What do we call this? We call that
We
a
call
pen.
that
A pen. Very good. Next, what do we call the people in France? What do we call the people in France? We call the
we
people
call
in
the
France
people
French.
is French.
Very good. What do we call the thing we wear on our heads? What do we call the thing we wear on our heads? We call the thing
We call
we
the
wear
thing
on our heads hat.
we wear on the head.
A hat.
A hat.
What do people generally call their mother and father? What do people generally call their mother and father? People generally call
Not
their
call them
mother and father
and
mom and dad.
the
Very good. Okay. Next, repeat one, the other.
the other
Right. One, the other. Very good. Okay, listen.
one.
Both my hands aren't on the table. One's on the table and the other's on my arm. Okay, let's
Mm.
practice. Are both my hands on the table? Are both my hands on the table? No. Both your
No,
hands aren't on
both
the
your
table.
hands are on the table.
One's on the table
Hands on the
and
table.
the
The
other's on your arm.
the other on your arm.
Very good. Are both my hands closed? Are both my hands closed? No.
No,
Both your
both of
hands
your
aren't
and
closed. One's closed and
the
the
clothes
other's
and
open.
the other open.
The other's open.
Ah, the other's opened.
Very good. Are both these pencils black? Are both these pencils black? No. Both
No,
those pencils
both
aren't
of
black.
those aren't black.
One's
One of
black.
the pa-
One's black.
one's
And the
one's black.
other's yellow.
The other is yellow.
Very good. Okay, next repeat. Kind.
Kind.
Very good. Okay, listen. Kind is a noun. For example, this is a book. What kind of book is this? It's an English book.
Mhm.
What kind of room is this? It's a classroom. What kind of car do you prefer? I prefer a sports car. Okay, let's practice. What's this? What's this? It's a book.
It's a book.
What kind of book is this? What kind of book is this? It's an
It's
English book.
English book.
Very good. What kind of room is this? What kind of room is this? It's a classroom.
Crossing.
What kind of car do you prefer? What kind of car do you prefer? I prefer a.
I prefer a sports car.
Very good. Next. Okay, repeat preposition.
Preposition.
Very good. Okay, so let's talk about preposition. Listen, the words on, under, in, from are prepositions. So it tells the position. For example, you come from Japan. I come from the Philippines. Let's practice. Give me some examples of prepositions. Give me some examples of prepositions, please. Some examples of prepositions. Okay, repeat. Some examples
An example of
of
a preposition
prepositions are on,
are
under, in, and
on
from,
front.
and from.
From.
Very good. Where do you come from? Where do you come from? I come from Japan.
I come from Japan.
Where do I come from? Where do I come from? You come from
I
the
come from
Philippines.
the Philippines.
Very good. Okay, next listen. When we use question words, for example, what, which, and where, we put the preposition last in the sentence. For example, we do not say from where do you come? We say where do you come from? We do not say on what are you putting the book? We say what are you putting the book on? Let's practice. What do we speak with? What do we speak with? We speak with our mouths.
Or mouse.
Where am I taking the book from? Where am I taking the book from? You're taking the book from the table.
From the table.
Very good. What am I putting the pen under? What am I putting the pen under? You're putting the pen
You're putting in the
under the book.
you pen under the book.
One more. You're putting the pen under the book.
You're putting the pen under the book.
Very good. Okay, what are you sitting on? What are you sitting on? I'm sitting
I'm
on a
sitting
chair.
on
On a chair.
the chair.
Very good. Next repeat. North.
Doors.
And one more. North. South.
No, south.
East. West.
East. West.
Cardinal point.
Cardinal point.
Paris.
Price.
Very good. Okay, listen. North, south, east, and west are the four cardinal points. For
Mm-hmm.
example, Greece isn't west of Italy, it's east of Italy. Paris
Mm-hmm.
isn't in the south of France, it's in the north of France. Germany isn't east or west of Italy, it's north of Italy. Okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
practice. Tell me the names of the four cardinal points. Tell me the names of the four cardinal points, please. The names
Uh,
of the
the
four
names of the four
cardinal points
called
are
names
north,
are south,
south,
north,
east, and
south,
west.
east, and west.
Very good. Is Greece west of Italy? Is Greece west of Italy? No. Greece
No,
isn't west
the
of Italy.
Greece isn't the west of Italy.
It's east of Italy.
It's east of Italy.
Is Paris in the south of France? Is Paris in the south of France? No. Paris
No,
isn't in the
the
south
Paris
of France.
south of the France.
It's in the north of France.
The north of France.
Is Germany east or west of Italy? Is Germany east or west of Italy? Germany isn't west
Germany
or
isn't
west
west
of
of the
Italy.
west of
It's
Italy.
north of Italy.
It's north of Italy.
Very good. Next, repeat. Place. Place.
Price.
Sum of.
Some of.
Very good. Okay, listen. There are three places in this room. One, two, three. There's somebody sitting in that place. Another example, the names of some of the places I like in my country are Cebu, Manila, Baguio,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Let's
Mm-hmm.
practice. How many places are there in this room? How many places are there in this room? There are three places
There are
in that
three
room.
persons in that room.
Is there anybody sitting in that place? Is there anybody sitting in that place? Yes, there's somebody
There's
sitting
somebody
in that place.
sitting place.
Tell me the names of some of the places you like in your country. Tell me the names of some of the places you like in your country. The
Uh,
names of
the
some of the
names some
places
some of places
I like in my country
in my country
are
is
are
Naga, Nagasaki, Tokyo, Hokkaido.
etc. Very good.
It's the
Next, repeat opposite.
opposite.
Very good. Okay, listen. The opposite of long is short. The opposite of
Long.
large is small. The opposite of tall is short. Okay, let's practice. What's the opposite of high? What's the opposite of high? The opposite of high
Opposite
is
high
low.
is low.
Is low. Very good.
It's low.
What's the opposite of behind? What's the opposite of behind? The opposite of behind
Opposite
is
behind
in
is
front of.
front. In front of.
What's the opposite of tall? What's the opposite of tall? The opposite of
The
tall is
opposite
short.
or short.
What's the opposite of the verb to teach? What's the opposite of the verb to teach? The opposite of
The
the
opposite
verb to teach is to
verb
learn.
of teach learn.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to our reading. Okay, reading is at stage two, paragraph page
Mm-hmm.
56. Okay, please start reading at page 58. Do not, don't, does not. 58.
58.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. Lesson. What's number of lesson?
Uh,
Paragraph
page,
50,
paragraph page 58.
58.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Do not, don't.
58. mm, 58.
Uh-huh.
Do
Five
it's
eight.
do not, don't,
Uh-huh. Very good.
does not, doesn't, remain.
Mhm.
And present simple, negative. I do not speak. You do not speak. He does not speak. She does not speak. It does not speak. We do not speak. You do not speak. They do not speak.